Everyone on this list is going to be a player, I promise, but I have to give credit where credit is due, and Dave Canales looked locked in. I was critical of the Panthers coach. A lot of people were critical about the preseason strategy, waiting until the final game of the preseason to call the offense when Bryce Young and 33 of the Panthers players, presumably most of them make, if not all of them make the final roster. 33 players were not playing. That's when Canales chooses to call the offense, but it looked good. And they came out ready to go. Pittsburgh, I believe, was penalized in all three phases at the start of the game. Jalen Ramsey had the obnoxious tackle on Trevor Etienne. Long after the play was over, he throws him into the ground. They get penalized. Bad penalties from Pittsburgh. Carolina, for the most part, was ready to go. The Panthers were ready to go. And you got to give Canales credit for that, especially after you came out against Cleveland, against the 2s and 3s, and your guys weren't ready to go. And you looked Bush League. The Panthers' first-team offensive line outside of Damian Lewis looked Bush League against Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, and that Texans defensive front. The Steelers had their starting defense on the field, aside from TJ Watt, I believe. You looked good. You looked the part. Canales gets credit. The guys were ready. And the best scene of the game was Canales jumping up and down on the sideline after Jacoby Windmon, I butchered the pronunciation, decked Kaleb Johnson on that kick return after the Panthers' first field goal. Canales was red in the face. Carla Metz goes, I've never seen the coach like this, and she's right. I have never seen Canales with that much energy on the Panthers sideline. He looked like he was in the playoffs. If you told me Canales was coaching in the Super Bowl in that preseason game, I would believe you. He came out with a ton of energy. The team was ready to go. The Steelers, they had some of their best guys in the game, and the Panthers looked good at the beginning despite the loss. He gets credit where credit's due. Down number 1. Oh my gosh, another week of this guy. It's painful to watch Shemar Bartholomew out on the field for the Panthers. I really don't think he can play. He got beat really bad on the double move down the sideline. Lance McCutcheon, 26-year-old, caught a 24-yard touchdown, saying an ancient touchdown. Skylar Thompson, I believe, was on the throw. Bartholomew got beat so bad. It's not a good day for pronunciation. He got beat so bad. Like 10 yards by. He wasn't even in the shot. He got beat so bad. And then I will mention this as well. It's not related to Bartholomew. Was not to blame for this. Akayleb Evans and Damani Richardson who ESPN said was in coverage. And that was at the end of the first half. Scotty Miller just goes down the field, puts them in field goal range. They get the easy field goal. Evero was angry. You could tell the tone on the Panthers sideline kind of just took a hit after that play. And it brings up a problem for me, which is you don't really have a corner you feel comfortable with right now at this point in time, aside from J.C. Horn. Some people might say Mike Jackson. Some people might say you're being too hard on him. I really don't feel comfortable with Mike Jackson. I don't think he's a true number 2 corner. And I don't think the Panthers' safeties are good enough to overcome that Achilles heel. I think teams either go one or two ways. One, you have 2 dynamite corners. You have your superstar, and then like the Pats, they have Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. You have a good Robin to the Batman. Or you're like the Lions, you have your shutdown guy, but then you have freaking Brian Branch back there at safety. You have a superstar at safety. I don't think the Panthers have that level of stardom in their secondary. I think they do need a number 2 corner in short. I don't feel comfortable with Mike Jackson out there. Hopefully Corey Thornton steps up into that role. He had a quiet night on Thursday, but who knows what the deal is with him. I know for a fact it's not going to be Bartholomew, and it's not going to be Akayleb Evans. Both of those guys probably won't see much of the field, if the roster at all, in 2025. Now, this is the number, this is the main star of the game to me. And Canales was talking about week over week growth, talking about how growth for young players is leaps and bounds compared to older guys who develop slower. Lathan Ransom made huge strides at the interception that went viral. He was making some hits out there, stopping the running back completely in their tracks, shedding blocks. He had a nice one early in the game where he shed the guard and stopped the running back dead in his tracks, like a 2 or 3 yard gain. Currently, Ransom's listed on the roster behind Nick Scott. Joe Person, it's widely reported by other people as well, that's not going to last long. I would not be surprised if Ransom is on the field week 1. And quite frankly, I feel a lot more comfortable with the Panthers safeties after watching this game. It wasn't perfect. And I prepared this segment for you. I prepared it. And I said, I'm going to talk about how Caleb Downs was the number 1 guy at Ohio State. And he was the consensus All-American. And Lathan Ransom was a great safety, but he really was number 2 in college. And I was going to start telling you the truth, because I'm not completely comfortable with him being your starting safety at this point in time. After this game, I thought he showed a lot on the tape. Had the interception, and it was the hits. This guy hits the heck out of the ball carrier. It is like he leaves it all on the field. And I know Morig is known for that as well, but wow, I was impressed with Lathan Ransom, and I don't think Nick Scott is long for the Panthers starting lineup, to be honest, especially after an impressive night tonight for Lathan Ransom. Down number 2. This guy's stock is plummeting, and his name is Jack Plummer. I don't think I have seen a sequence of bad throws like I saw from Jack Plummer. He had the one throw in the red zone. Hunter Renfrow ran a quick little out, and he just missed him completely. I think there was a throw there. I think he could have had a touchdown. And then the Panthers tackle, he's not on this list of downs, but he should be, and that is Michael Tarquin at tackle. He got beat bad twice. One of them led to the eventual Jack Plummer interception in the red zone, another bad throw, but he had one that was really, really bad. He threw the ball up and away to Renfrow, and Renfrow, he kind of gave up on it a little bit because he knew if he caught that, he would honestly probably have some damage to his ribs. It was a complete hospital ball, and to me, it seemed like nerves. I think Jack Plummer has an underrated role in this team. Andy Dalton is getting older. He has the elbow issues. You don't know if he's long for this team, for Charlotte. Is he going to be here forever? You need a backup quarterback. I know some people get sensitive to that. They're like, just because there's a backup quarterback, you hate Bryce Young. You hate Bryce. Like, some people get all, it's ridiculous. It's completely neurotic. People act like you can't have a backup quarterback. You need one. And it doesn't mean Bryce is going to get hurt, but you need a long-term plan there as well. I don't think Jack Plummer is part of it. Again, it was the nerves. Some of those throws, even he is better than the throws he was making on the field Thursday night against Pittsburgh. It was bad. And I even noticed a little bit of that with Bryce Perkins too. He had a much more conservative day. I think Canales was like, Jack, you go out there and show us what you have. He allowed Jack Plummer to leave it all on the field. Bryce Perkins, yes, he was in LA. Yes, he understands the system, but did not nearly have the level of aggression in the play calling that Canales gave to Jack Plummer. This is an important up. This guy looked okay. Look, he didn't play a ton. But I have to include him on this list because he is really important to the grand plan. And it's sort of insane to even say it. Chandler Zavala. the blemish of the 2023 season, perhaps. The blemish of the 62-sack season for Bryce Young, Chandler Zavala. But look, we grow. We all do. And he has. And Chandler Zavala, I'm sorry, he is leaps and bounds above whatever or whoever or whatever else they were rolling out at left guard in these past weeks. I think he even played better than Cade Mays, who was on the field against Houston. Zavala had a decent night. He had a nice block against Patrick Queen. Underrated. Watch the tape. He didn't give up on the play. Trevor Etienne, the handoff, he cuts it back, and Patrick Queen's kind of like falling over, but Zavala seals him, and that big body block allows Etienne to escape and cut it back for a gain of 28 yards. The huge play that set the Panthers up in enemy territory for that first drive. Zavala got to the second level on that, and I thought that was something you didn't see from, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, Jatire Carter and Kingston. I think Zavala is just better flat out than those guys. Finally, the last down, Raheem Blackshear. We can end the video here because he is gone. Just kidding. Trevor Etienne's better. He can do it all. I think Dan Morgan even mentioned it on the broadcast. They have big plans for Trevor Etienne. I was kind of like, what are you people watching? Like, I didn't think, he's a backup running back. Whatever. He looks like a decent pass catcher. He looks like he has a little bit of a burst that maybe Chuba and Rico Dowdle might not have in the receiving game, which I think is going to carve out a roster spot for him. And it already has, but it's going to carve out a role in this offense even above the roster spot for Trevor Etienne. Blackshear, bye-bye. They're probably not keeping 4 running backs, especially with the depth in this receiving room. Jimmy Horn, was barely on the field. I could keep going and going and going and going with this list. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the breakdown. This is the tone. We have a ton of content coming next week. Roster cuts. Who's keeping their job? Oh my gosh, it's like getting laid off in football. That's what this is. This is the tone.